Well, hello, ladies and gentlemen. It's Dr. Joel Hunter here, your instructor for Philosophy 210 World Religions. It's summer session here at Truckee Meadows Community College, and that means we are in for a 5-week wild ride. We have a really fascinating course put together for you, and it's going to involve a lot of reading. I will not lie to you about that. But if you keep up with the reading, I think you will reap amazing rewards, not only in better understanding 5 of the major religions of the world, but really yourself. Because what I've done in this course is I have framed the course at the beginning and the end with an inventory, what I call an inventory. And what it's asking you to do is sort of get your own views on some of the subjects that we talk about up front. Try to make them explicit. And then what we'll do is we'll go through the course and do our readings, and then as you look at these topics more closely and you get more information about how the religions answer some of the key questions, then your own thinking may evolve, and you'll have a different kind of response to those same questions. So I've bookended the course with a personal inventory. In the middle of the course is our content, and it is a lot, but it is also very, very rewarding. One of the things that makes it especially rewarding is that we have a fantastic textbook. Well, actually, we have 2, but the main textbook that we use to go through the material of each religion it's a very actually classic text. Sorry, I just ducked out of the frame. It's a classic text by Houston Smith. It's this one, and amazingly enough, it's called The World's Religions. This is an excellent, excellent textbook. I've used it before, and it is suited for our course because what we're going to do in our course, since we're looking at 5 very complicated, very historically diverse, doctrinally diverse religions, we are going to have kind of a bird's eye view of the subject. And so what we're going to do is try to be able to understand the central principles of each of those religions with occasional glances at the diversity within each religion. So there is definitely an exploration, say, of the different kinds of Buddhism. But what your author focuses on in the main parts of his chapter on each religion is getting the central ideas that would be common to all of the adherents of that particular religion. So the breaking off into sects is partly recognized, but it isn't gone into depth, okay? And that's oftentimes the most interesting thing. If the subject interests you, then what you can do is take a follow-up course where you probe into, say, more specifically, the monotheistic religions, and you'll look more in depth at those, or even, say, Hinduism, and a course on Hinduism, and you will dig into more of the depth that's available. So our course is more of a bird's eye view of each of these major religions. And it's helpful to know also that we're not getting a global view in our bird. What we're doing is getting a fairly local view, even though we're talking about, in the current population of the world, probably around 4 to 5 billion people subscribe to one of these 5 religions. That leaves out a lot of people, not only in the world today, but also in the previous world, in history, right? There are other religions, of course. So bear that in mind, that we're not getting a look at all religions per se, although what we're trying to do is say something that would be common to all religions. So what you can do, in other words, is you can take the knowledge that you gain from this course, and let's say you wanted to study Sikhism, then you would be able to apply some of the same principles and ideas that we're going to be covering to a religion that we aren't specifically covering in this course. It's pretty cool. So what I'm going to do today with this video, is to show you, first of all, the book, and encourage you as quickly as possible, as speedily as possible, get this book if you don't already have it. Because once next week starts, and we start right away with the readings, it doesn't let up. We are on the accelerator pedal full bore for 5 weeks. So make sure that you have this book. And that you have this book. This is called The World's Wisdom, and it's a companion volume to the Houston Smith book. This book has primary texts for each religion. So what we have are, for example, some of the Vedas and the Upanishads for Hinduism, the source text for the religion. This is really, really important because it's one thing to hear a commentator tell you what a religion believes and what they teach and what they do, and it's quite another thing to hear the religion speak for itself about what it says, about what is important to believe and what is important to do. So that is this book. It is the primary texts for, or a selection of the primary texts for the religions that we're studying. So you'll need this one too. You'll be working with both texts each week. Okay, so what I'm going to do in follow-up videos that I will post in links below, but I'll also post them in announcements on Canvas for our course, is I have some follow-up intro videos. So I guess this is intro video 0. The next intro video that I'm going to do is on the syllabus, and I want to step you through your map for the course. That's what the syllabus is. And it's kind of a contract too. It's what I'm agreeing to teach you and what I agree to cover with you, and you're agreeing that, okay, that sounds good, I'll keep up with that. So we'll go through that. I think it's important to do that so that you get a lay of the land for our specific course. And we'll go through things like, the assignments that you're going to cover or have, and then the grading, and then of course the schedule for the 5 weeks. I've got plenty of detail on that. That's already available on Canvas, so you can download that. The other thing that I'll cover in a separate video is I mentioned the syllabus and the schedule, right? Okay, so then I want to talk to you also about close reading. So I used to teach Princeton Review back in the day, and Princeton Review, for those of you who don't know, is an SAT prep service, and they publish books like I think they call it, what is it, the crack the SAT or crack the GRE or whatever it is. I think that's their phrase these days. Well, one of the things that we would teach our students in the Princeton Review is the difference between active reading and passive reading. This is important. If you remember taking one of those standardized tests, the reading passages, you have to be able to read that to get information out of it. So there's analysis that's done. They tell you that it's not analysis, but it is. The difference is, so let me explain real quick what that is, and I'll go into this in more detail in the video. But I think it's important to tell you now what the main difference is. So in passive reading, we do this all the time. We do this when we read text messages, when we read emails, when we read content on the web. Typically, most of the content we read on the web. The sort of daily activity of reading, and we do a lot of it, is passive. And what do I mean by that? I mean that we don't have to really process that information actively. What we do is we take the information in, and we can glean what we need to know right off the surface. We don't have to dig into it and ask questions, unless somebody is just unclear. It's there. What we need is there, and so we take that. We take that passively. It doesn't require effort on our part. When you did the reading passages on the SAT or a standardized test, and the kind of reading that we're doing in our course, it's active reading. And what that means, I call it different things. So I like the phrase close reading because I like to think of having the book up close to your face, but it means something different, which I'll go into. But it is also aggressive and slow reading. It's the kind of reading where you have to slow down in order to pay attention to the specifics that are crossing your path. And you have to probe with questions sometimes. Now, I've got a really great example of an author doing this. And there's nothing better than having an example of what I'm talking about because it can sound kind of abstract. So I'm going to have that posted for you, and I'm going to discuss it in a video. So close reading, look for that one. It's a super, super important skill, probably the most important skill in order to succeed in the course. Then I'll have a video on the online discussions assignment. That's one of the major graded components of the course. And I want to step through with you what you need to do for that and the rubric that I'll use to grade your submissions. And then the last thing is quizzes. So each week you also will have a quiz. And I mentioned the inventories at the beginning. So those I will grade as quizzes. So they're actually freebies. There are no wrong answers to the inventory. All you have to do is apply the model that I provided. And that, by the way, is the last of the videos that I'm going to have for you, is a discussion of the model, because this is the framework that I use in the course. And I've tinkered with it over the years. I got the idea, and a lot of the content really came from a philosopher friend of mine, Bill Vallicella. But he provided sort of the starting point for me thinking about how to use this in a course. And so I've tinkered with it, and I've developed it, and I've got the latest version for you. And this latest version, I think, is going to work really well. What it is, it's a way to work through the different beliefs, because what happens is you can get lost in the technical language of the religion, like say the Anatta doctrine in Buddhism. Oh my gosh, you know, it's an alien word to you probably if you're not a native speaker of that language. So you have to be able to translate some of that technical language into everyday language that we can use and talk about. So the model is a way to help you do that. It helps you identify those technical terms that you need to know, and then also unpack their meaning. All right, so I'll talk about that in a separate video in greater detail. Well, this intro video is already too long, so I'm going to close it off and say again, welcome to the course. I hope that you enjoy it, and I'll be seeing you in the next videos. Take care.